The way we work is changing every day, thanks in large part to the internet. So if you're an online creator, what can you do to create a sustainable future for yourself? On Attach Your Resume, creators share how their jobs work, especially during times like these where big changes are happening in the online world. Listen to interviews with internet reporter Taylor Lorenz, CEO of Patreon Jack Conte, representatives from Defector, Aftermath, and more. Whether you're an online creator yourself or curious about what's going on in the online Wild West, search Attach Your Resume wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Hello and welcome. I am your host, Kimberly Lovey. I am a wife, a mother of two. I'm a businesswoman, a brand builder, blogger, and podcaster. I'm here to connect with women just like me who want to optimize their life while looking and feeling our best. Together, we will remove limiting beliefs and dream to become our highest and best version of ourselves. We will explore both mental and physical aspects of self-improvement while forming a community, a sisterhood. Before we dive in, please subscribe to my podcast and give me 5 stars. Today, I'm going to share with you how our birthday week went and quarantine COVID vacation 4th of July went. Okay, I'm just going to dive right in. So basically last week, I took the entire week off of work, which was fantastic. And we kicked off the week with my daughter Charlotte's 3rd birthday. And her birthday is Thursday, July 2nd, fell on a Thursday, which is a busy work day for my husband. So we decided to keep it just to the family and celebrate with just us. And so my father-in-law came with presents for both kids. And okay, when I tell you guys he shows up with presents, let me break it down for you. It is like something you've never seen in your life. He shows up like the Jewish Santa Claus you've always dreamt of. He shows up with presents that are the most ornate, elaborate, professional calligraphy with their names on it. And it looks like something out of, I don't know, like some kind of magazine or something you'd see in a movie. It's iconic. And he has like a personal shopper who then works with people at the various stores. And then the personal shopper who, by the way, is a close family friend too. And then she has someone that actually glues all of the presents together and does the calligraphy. It's like a multi-person experience. Like there's a whole supply chain that happens in order to get my kids these presents. It's shocking to me. And I'm not saying that to brag. I'm saying it because I've literally never seen anything like it. And it just leaves me stunned. And so he shows up with these presents for both of the kids for Charlotte's birthday, and they just are opening presents, and there's wrapping paper flying everywhere, and the whole entire playroom is just covered in all kinds of gifts and clothes and toys and all this stuff. Anyway, so that was our morning. And then we also shared lunch together, all of us. And then my father-in-law and Brian went back to work. So then my mom comes over and she used to be a lifeguard like way back in the day. And so because of this whole COVID thing, we have not been doing our swim lessons. And, so she came to our pool and hosted like a swim. She did like a swim instruction for the kids, and it was amazing. And I kind of stood there to support her because we need an adult per child because our kids are a little bit like wild, like Charlotte in particular. She doesn't know she can't swim. And so that's terrifying. Last week, one of our best friends had to save Charlotte in the pool. Charlotte was like basically drowning. And so our friend just casually walks into the pool with her jeans on and saves my daughter's life. So of course I found that hysterical and terrifying because the whole scene was just ridiculous. But, nonetheless, our friend has not come back and has not come back swimming. Hi, son. Oh, here's the boy. Hold on one second. Okay, so anyway, sorry about that little break. So we had a cute little cupcake moment, and we did a family, like my parents came over and father-in-law came over, and we just celebrated with our family. And then the next day was Friday, July 3rd, and that was the day of Charlotte's birthday party. Now, we are in a COVID world. So planning for a 3-year-old's party is obviously dicey and questionable. But at the same time, I just could not bear to do like a drive-by. It just was not going to land with a 3-year-old. And so what I did was I just invited our family, and about 3 or 4 families to join us. And we kept it outdoor. So I had the guests enter from our side gate, and everyone had to wear masks. And we also made it really short, or at least we had planned for it to be short, so that everyone felt safe. And so basically I invited a handful of families that I know have been under strict quarantine like us, because we do have high risk grandparents like most families. And so what we did was we woke up on that Friday morning, and it was a frozen birthday that Charlotte has been talking about for about 6 months or maybe longer. And I had bought all this, all these decorations from Party City, and then of course did not even end up using half of them. The night before, of course, this was like a total mom fail. I went to do all the party favors, and I realized that I didn't actually order any of the items to put inside the bags. So I had these empty frozen bags. So anyway, I just canceled that part of the party. We didn't end up having any goodie bags, which was fine. But that morning we woke up and just started basically getting all ready for the party. And the first thing that happened was, so I had rented a bounce house that has a water slide attached, which was amazing. So basically it's like this massive bounce house, this massive water slide for the kids. And the guy comes, sets it up. I had him set it up an hour and a half before the party started. We didn't have to lift a finger. He gets all of our hoses connected, like everything like set up and blown up, and we didn't have to do anything. And that was a huge, huge win. I'll tell you guys about that. But the kids ended up loving that. And then we also got like the big like balloons that say Charlotte. And the woman came, she does all of our parties, and she came and set everything up. And then I was setting up like the frozen tablecloths and just all these different frozen type elements. And so, so anyway, Charlotte comes down. She's so surprised. She sees a giant bounce house and her name and letters and like big balloons. And she's just so happy. It was the cutest thing ever. And our friends end up coming like at 11. It was supposed to be at 10:30. So folks showed up at 11, which was fine. And they knew to come in like water shoes and bathing suits. And the kids just were having the time of their life. Like that bounce house and the water slide was epic. I mean, I ended up going on it with Charlotte at the end of the day for a couple hours. And first of all, I was completely sore. It's really hard to climb up there, but the kids are just so athletic and like nimble. They're able to get up those, like climb up onto the slide like it's nothing. And let me tell you, it's difficult. And I ended up going with my sister and my brother-in-law too, because it was just like, I felt alive. I felt like a child sliding down that slide, and then you like crash land at the bottom, this little pool. It was like, I was laughing like I was a child. Like I just felt such joy, and I think that's so important in this kind of an environment where everything's like stressful and the world's falling apart. Like just to have a day with friends outside and like experience joy again was just, it was amazing. And then we also ended up heating our pool, and it sort of turned into like a quasi pool party, which was not the initial intent, but it was super fun. So anyway, so we had just this awesome day. And by, midday after we did, Charlotte was dying for pizza. She wanted a pizza party, and she also wanted to make sure she had a frozen cake. And keep in mind, we had had 2 really big parties for my son. So that was like a big reason why I was like, I cannot do like no party for Charlotte. Like it would make me feel like the worst mother ever. So we ended up getting these little like statues just to put on sheet cake that we got from Vaughn's, and it was delicious. And then the like frozen figurines on top. So I didn't get like any like custom cake or whatever like I've done in the past. But anyway, so that was amazing. And then about midday, half the guests had left. And then all of a sudden, before we know it, like our friends are just hanging out and like drinking. Like Brian's hosting the men at the bar, like they're having like scotch tasting parties, and he's like hosting the men at the bar, and the women are just chatting. And then some of my other friends came over that did not want to come with like a bigger crowd. And so we end up basically hanging out with our friends till like 10 at night. Like it was awesome. It just felt so good. And I have to tell you guys, I had like so many text messages from my friends, like saying we have not been out in like 110 days. And this was just so amazing to spend time with you guys. And thank you for like the best day ever. And it just felt like this whole weekend felt like there were 4 months of like joy, like jammed into like one weekend. And it just felt like I can't say it felt totally normal because we were still doing our social distancing and the masks and all of that, but it just felt so good to like enjoy our friends again and like feel like the world is still moving, and just have these like really great conversations with our friends. And the kids were just, they were having the best time. They were running around and playing, and ended up having like a movie night in their sleeping bags with popcorn. And they were just eating all kinds of bad food and playing together. And they were free, and they were free spirits again. And it was just so beautiful to watch. And it was so much fun. And I felt like we really did do it responsibly. We did it in like very small groups and outdoors, and the masks and all of that. And it was excellent. It was excellent. So we were exhausted. The kids went to sleep at 11 that night because people didn't leave till 10. And of course I was like running around cleaning up like a crazy person. So they were like, falling apart at the seams. And then, so they crashed within like a minute or two of us leaving the room. Poor kids. They were such troopers though. And, so then the next day was my birthday, which is July 4th. That's right. I'm a July 4th baby. And we woke up and started packing because we were going on a vacation. And that was interesting. So we would have not probably planned this. But what happened was, so back in November for Black Friday, I had booked the hotel for Brian and I to stay at in May. For our 5th year wedding anniversary. And so I was like, okay, Black Friday, I'm going to plan way ahead. I'm going to get a great rate, and wanted to basically just book the hotel that we had gotten married at. And so I booked it for our anniversary, which is in May. And then of course the whole COVID thing happened, and the hotel called and like said, hey, by the way, we're shut down. And so if you guys want to just push out your stay, then you can rebook at any for any day at your exact same rate. And I was sort of like, well, I'm not sure if we're going to feel ready. And they're like, well, you can cancel anytime. Like, don't worry. And it was almost like they were eagerly trying to fill up their hotel. And I was a little bit like skeptical about the whole thing. And so I just arbitrarily said, okay, just book it for July 4th. Like, cause I'm figuring, okay, by then, hopefully things are better. And so we ended up keeping the reservation because I called the hotel. And so here's the breakdown, because I know a lot of people were like really curious, like, how did you feel going on vacation and staying at a hotel? And like a lot of us are very nervous. And so here's basically the whole thing. The hotel had told me that they only were keeping a maximum occupancy of 60%. They also were having all of the common areas, you have to wear masks, and they had very limited indoor dining. Everything is socially distanced. Everything's in compliance, and they have to like get approved by some like, I don't know, hotel board or some, I don't know. There's some board that they have to actually undergo like a whole compliance with some governing body. Forgive me, I don't remember what it is, but basically, I felt comfortable enough to go. And so we go, and so first of all, my best friend was supposed to meet me with her daughter, and they were going to just stay at the hotel with us and go to their private beach and watch the fireworks. And so she calls me when she gets there, and she's like, they won't let me park here. And I'm like, what? I'm like, okay, just wait. We're going to be there in a few minutes. So she meets us from San Diego with her daughter, who's 7 years old. And we get there, and I'm like freaking out because I'm thinking, oh my God, are they not going to let her in? Because she just like planned her whole weekend around this too, to come visit us, and like drove all this way. And so thankfully, when we pulled up, they were like, "Oh, hello, Mr. and Mrs. Lovey. We have your guests. Like, your guests have already arrived. They're waiting for you." I'm like, "Oh, thank goodness." So we go, we check in. Again, we all have our masks on. There's nobody in the lobby. It feels like super empty. There's no crowds whatsoever, like very few people. The lobby is basically shut down. So there's like no gathering of any kind inside. Like, we didn't really see anyone besides like the concierge who was there and then the front desk people. So we were checking in, and they're like, I had asked them like how much it was to upgrade the room, because we'd gotten kind of a small room initially. And they said some crazy amount when I'd called to upgrade. And then when I asked them in person, it was like significantly less. So I ended up upgrading our room. And that was a fantastic idea, because there were just so many of us like packed in there. And between all of us changing, and we only could get a king bed too in the room. And so anyway, we end up going to the room, getting in our bathing suits, all of us. My best friend and her daughter meet us. Thankfully, like, they got in, and we all get dressed, and then we go down to, or go back up to the lobby, take a tram down to their private beach. And so the whole time I was kind of like, all right, I don't see a lot of people. We're driving through the golf course. Everything's amazing. The kids have never been on vacation. This is our first family vacation, by the way. So like, this is like a big deal for us. So we get down to the beach, and it looks crowded. And I was like getting uncomfortable, and people were not wearing masks. And so what we did was we basically they actually sat down our lounge chairs for us and like set up all of these umbrellas and things, and like they have it by rows, and it is technically socially distanced. But I just did not like that there was big crowds of people with no masks, even though it was outside and it was 6 feet. I just was not really comfortable with that. So what we did was we just went down to the actual ocean, like away from absolutely everybody. We are completely by ourselves, not near anyone at all. And we played in the water with the kids, and like, we were holding on to them, and they were getting to like feel the ocean on their feet and all of that. We were just playing for like a half hour. And then instead of hanging out at the beach, like with all that those crowds, we just went back up and got back on the tram, and then went back to the pool area. So the pool area, I was again worried that it was going to be crowded, and they had closed off the entire pool except for the kiddie area. And there was probably, I don't know, maybe 5 families there, but it was in like a massive space. So we were very far apart from everybody. And the kids played in the pool for about an hour, and that was excellent. And we were just having the best time. And then by that time, it was 6 o'clock. And so we were going to this activity, which I was really, really excited about. So basically what the hotel was doing was they did like a preset activity, like it was a certain amount of money for each adult and child. And from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m., they had an outdoor dining experience where all of the tables were at least 6 feet apart. I think they were more like 12 feet apart. Like it was very well spaced out. To the point where the servers were like really struggling because they were sprinting like all over, and the tables were very, very far apart. And so basically from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m., you get a preset dinner for the adults and the kids. And then they have all this entertainment for the kids in particular, but they had like acrobatics and music going on, and jugglers and balloon animal people and clowns and all of this excitement. And it was just so, so beautiful. You're overlooking the ocean, and it was right where we got married. So it was super exciting. And the kids were just, running around and, with our masks on, and for the most part, except for when we were dining. And then at 9 p.m., they had fireworks. I think they were one of the few places in California that were like legally allowed to be doing fireworks. And so they had the fireworks off of the golf course, which is kind of right in front. And so we just kind of stayed where we were. And then the kids got to see fireworks for the first time, which was a huge deal because I was so excited this year to be having to show my kids the fireworks, because it's the first time that they've been old enough to like stay up late enough. And then for everything to be canceled, like all of the fireworks by us were canceled. And so the fact that we kind of got lucky enough to show them the fireworks after all was a huge deal. And at first they were kind of like freaked out, like, what, fire? Oh my gosh, it's so loud. And because they didn't know what to expect. And then they realized how awesome they were. And I have to tell you guys, like, I got so emotional. I started like crying. And maybe it was because I was a little, but also like just the gratitude and like also the sadness for the state of our world. And it just, I don't know, it was like that mix of like me feeling patriotic and me feeling gratitude and me feeling sadness kind of all rolled up into one as I'm watching the fireworks, and like feeling grateful that I got to see the fireworks this year and how many millions of people didn't get to see them. And it was beautiful. It was like sad and beautiful and wonderful all at once. And so that was our night, and we had just the best time. Oh, and then we went back to our room, and basically Brian figured out how to do we had like a little fire pit outside of our room, like on our patio, and the kids got to roast s'mores for the first time, and they had never done that. And it was super fun. And then we had air mattresses that we brought, and the kids brought their sleeping bags, and each kid had an air mattress. And we brought their pillows, and they just loved sleeping over. They loved having like a big slumber party, all of us. And then my friend and her daughter went home, and we ended up sleeping until 9:30 the next day, which was crazy because we all normally wake up like pretty early. So that was really it. And then we went and had breakfast, and we went back to where we got married and showed the kids. And it was stunning. It was beautiful. And we felt so happy to be out. We felt alive again. And then the last part of our trip kind of took a turn for the worst. So we went over to our friend's house. They live 20 minutes away, and we never get to see them because they live so far. And within 5 minutes of being there, we were going to go in for like a little swimming. And the kids had their floaties on because the adults weren't in yet. And Charlotte, who is admittedly fairly wild, she, like, of all the wild stuff she does, this was not even wild. I was standing right next to her, and she turned, and she just got too close to like the pool edge, and it was like a little bit rough because I think it's like brick or some kind of like stone, and just for whatever reason it like spliced her chin open. And it was just like a fluke. Like, she wasn't even like jumping and like being wild or anything. She was just on the step and was like turning to go towards the pool, and just happened to just get her chin. And she's crying and crying, and I'm looking at it and realizing like this is not just a scrape, this is like a wound. So long story short, we end up going to the urgent care nearby. And this is 5 minutes of being guests at our friend's house. And it was, thankfully, like, my friend like escorted us there, and he knew exactly what to do. And I was sort of like flustered a little bit because I didn't have my wallet with me because it was in my mom bag back at their house. And so, and she's like bleeding and screaming and the whole thing. And so we're checking in. I don't have my ID. I don't have any money. So my friend thankfully stayed with us and like ended up covering our copay, which is so embarrassing, but like so nice. We got them back for lunch. And, then I just put on like a PBS app on my phone, and Charlotte calmed down, and she ended up getting 3 stitches. She was so strong. They like numbed it, sewed her up. She was watching TV, and she was uncomfortable, but she didn't cry at all through the whole thing. And it wasn't until we were leaving and she realized that we can't go in the pool, she lost it, that she could not go back swimming. Like, of all of the things, that's what upset her. And thankfully the urgent care had toys to give her, and she like calmed back down, was happy again. Then we went back to my friend's house. They had gotten us lunch, and the kids were just playing outside of the pool, and then ended up like watching a movie. And again, it was just so nice to connect with my friends and see them in person and feel like a normal human being again. And we drove home. We got home late, not super late, but like 6 o'clock on Sunday. And that was basically our first family vacation. And Charlotte turned 3 years old. And 2 days later, I turned 4 years. I turned 4 years old. I wish I turned 36 years old, and America turned 244 years old. So that was our vacation. You guys are now filled in. Definitely do recommend going to the Monarch Beach Resort in Dana Point. It was amazing. We did a one-night getaway, first family vacay, and it was amazing. Like, we felt alive again. It was exactly what we all needed. So with that, let me know if you want to hear anything else. Please subscribe to my podcast at Diamonds and Coconuts. I'm on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, radio.com, iTunes, and pretty much every major platform. So please subscribe, give me 5 stars. Let me know what you want to hear more about. If you have any more questions, I'm happy to answer them. I am loving doing this with you guys. I am enjoying this, and hope you have an excellent week. Happy 4th of July, America. And I love you all. Hopefully we will talk soon. Signing off. Mwah.